The future investment initiative in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia has come to a close, but the conversations continue, particularly around venture debt and private credit. Stride Ventures, a global private credit and venture debt fund manager, recently closed its ADGM fund with a commitment to deploying $500 million across the Gulf region by 2029. Now, founder and managing director of the fund, Ishpreet Singh Ghandi, spoke with Arise business correspondent Reuters Sudiri. Let's have a look.
All right, this is, of course, the Future Investment Initiative, the 9th edition here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Arise News has been speaking to executives from around the world. We are very, very happy to have Mr. Ishpreet Singh Gandhi, who is the founder and managing partner of Stride Ventures. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and talking to Arise News. And I really enjoyed your panel on the Indian economy and reforms. I wanted to ask you about your company. I want to learn more about your company. To help us, I guess it sounds obvious, you know, venture debt and private credit. But can you talk to us about why you focus on that niche for startups, for funding startups?
Sure. Thank you first for having us on Arise. It's our pleasure. So basically, we treat ourselves as a capital provider. And we do believe that if you see tech ecosystem in India and globally, there is very less understanding of how you can use capital to grow your business without diluting your ownership. So if you start a business tomorrow, you would want to be the owner of that business, right?
Right.
So the important aspect is how do you create a capital stack which is unique in nature, understanding businesses and creating solutions which fits into the requirements of growth capital of those business. And the best form to do it is credit, because while people might treat it as an obligation, we are very flexible. So we can be 2 years to 4 years of capital for you, where you can grow your business, increase your turnover, increase your revenues, and have better values for your business. And that's been the vacancy to have a global brand in that segment. So while we started from India, I did it for banks earlier, I do believe that this ecosystem of tech enablement, where the founders are trying to create very unique business, the capital solutions are not easily available to them. So that's why we opted to do credit in this. We do carry some equity options in these companies. So as they become bigger, we get better returns with the base returns of credit. That's how we work.
Fantastic. So I guess, how do you, I guess interest income would be part of your returns and so on. How do you mitigate risk since you're lending? I guess it's mid to growth companies, right, that are scaling. So how do you mitigate your risk?
So we start, just to give you an understanding, we typically start as early as Series A.
Okay.
So if a company has got 8-10 million of revenues, have got an institutional investor, their unit economics positive, we come in play.
Okay.
Our ticket sizes can be as low as $2 to $5 million to start, can go up to $40-50 million, depending on how the company's requirements are. In some cases of co-investment, we cross 100 million as well. So we can really go up to IPO.
Okay.
So treat us as a partner, which is largely sector agnostic, but can come in as early as Series A and go up to IPO and fit in anywhere.
Gotcha.
So that's typically how it works. On the risk mitigation, to your point, look, we are a senior secured. So the point is that we create structures in a manner that we get paid out of the cash flows of the company.
Okay.
And you do have charge on the companies, but our intent, Reuters, to do this is to make sure that we educate the founders, right? As I said, because when the company grows very fast, when they get venture capital or private equity money, they don't have the right corporate infrastructure to excel.
Right.
They don't have like the best of the CFOs in their company. So they can lose the plot. So the way we educate our private equity VC investors, whom we work with, since we come on the cap table as well, is why not we give corporate hygiene to a company? The way it will behave like a mid-corporate and large corporate. So it's important that they know the essence of credit, how it works, because it is like every large companies you treat in any kind of industry will require credit.
Right.
How do you make them early as tech-enabled company to be prepared? So our risk mitigation revolves around that. How do you educate them? And by default, you protect your risk.
Gotcha.
Because you are trying to follow the cash flows. So a founder is very particular about repayments, the cash flows. So indirectly, that's how, you being a senior secured lender, this is how we get protected.
Makes sense. Thank you for educating us on that. So your footprint, I want to come to your footprint now, Southeast Asia, the Gulf, and also the UK. I mean, there's coming from India as an emerging market. Can you tell us about your footprint in the UK and how that fits in as that's a developed market compared to the others?
So our thought was very clear that we were not creating a venture credit or a venture debt firm. We want to create an institution which initiates from India. And the reason of initiating from India, maybe we belong from there, but I do believe India has been a global finance centers or back center for a lot of large financial institutions. India possesses very good talent, very good understanding on finance. How do we use that bench strength and take it global? So we wanted to get right in India. We're the most active investor in India. So that moment we achieved that, we got a confidence to start in the neighboring countries where the proximity is high, bilateral relationships are good. So Middle East was a we started with Abu Dhabi with the ADGM headquarter fund, and then we started deploying in the region in Riyadh as well now. We've just announced 2-3 companies recently. And the reason to be in UK, because ultimately you have to be a global fund.
Right.
Be very clear with that thought, right? So you have to start either being in Europe, UK, Europe, or you go to US. We want to be at certain size and scale to enter US, right? So UK becomes an obvious choice, A, and B, also it is still a capital financial center for a lot of things.
Right.
We do work with a lot of large global institutional investors. We fund their companies across regions. In fact, half of the people I met here are starting out of UK.
Wow, okay.
Right?
Oh, wow.
The private equity, VC investor, and the credit providers. Right?
Gotcha.
So they have a very strong base there. We need to have a base there in order to make sure that we are ready for the global capital unwinding.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, I want to come to the Gulf, and you mentioned a couple deals. Starting with BRICS, the $30 million deal that they signed, a debt deal they signed with you. I think that they're a platform that's linked with construction projects, linking players in the construction sector. Can you tell us about the opportunity you saw there? Is it linked to the infrastructure plans in Saudi Arabia and so on? And what informed that deal you signed with them?
Okay, so one of the unique things which Rotus comes with us is the experience of doing this in India for 10-15 years. And India has become a third largest tech ecosystem. Right. So there are a lot of companies who've done a playbook which has really been successful. So we've funded a lot of companies in India who've become a $3-5 billion company in this segment. That understanding of construction or fintech or consumer is what you can take globally.
Right.
Right. So the reason to do BRICS, because we have done those companies earlier in India, and they've scaled massively. They scaled like 30 to 50x or 100x since our investment.
Wow.
Right. So
and good return for you.
Yeah. So on the equity upside, yes. So the point is that how do BRICS actually, as you rightly said, cater to the large infrastructure deployment in Saudi? And how do you have a tech platform where the smaller vendors can get access to the larger buyers? And how do you consolidate under one platform? So even a steel and cement, all the infrastructure needs, the smaller vendors not only need access to the large vendors and your various layers, unorganized layers in between, also how to finance them. BRICS does both.
Right.
It provides the commodity with the underlying finance.
Right.
Right. So that's why it's a stretch facility of 30 million where we keep on deploying as per the use cases. And we've started deploying already with them.
Yeah, well done. Congrats on that deal. Another deal, or rather a partnership, is with SAB Invest, which I believe is an institutional investor here in the Gulf. And I think I want to tie this to your earlier answer where you talked about training founders and making sure that they are, up to speed on how to operate. Because what we read on the press release is that you are coming in. And you give us some more information there. But you're coming in to also advise them on how to get, access more SMEs and how to just bring more a pipeline to this. So can you tell us about the partnership with SAB here?
Sure. So look, overall, the private credit market is generally just said as a large opportunity. We believe the private credit market has to be broken down. Within private credit market, there is SME financing, there's asset-backed financing, there is sponsor-backed financing, which is what we say ourselves. So sponsor-backed financing, you do not have a large global players in the region. We come in there, where we have relationships with all the top global investors. We've been partnered to them in India. We've done 500 plus transactions in India. So you're the largest partner to the large global funds. Right? So the point is that the region is now expanding to an extent that the credit needs or the capital needs are increasing. And government infrastructure, government support has been very robust. But there are a lot of private managers who now believe that there is a time for private credit or SME credit to really get developed in the region. And we have been treated as a subject matter expert to do that because we have done a lot of SME financing in India. We've done asset-backed financing and sponsor credit we do. So SAB, to your part, they're large asset managers. They have $36 billion asset under management. And they really want to go deeper in credit. And that's where we are partnered.
That's where you come in.
So we become their venture credit, private credit deployer in the region. And it's a very large facility. We have not announced that facility, but you'll see a very deep partnership evolving from here.
Fantastic. So since we are here, I do want you to speak to the Future Investment Initiative, where we are here, of course, in Riyadh. You talked about the government support for infrastructure. Can you speak to, I know the Saudis have the Vision 2030, but the marriage between government policy and the attraction for private sector for you, and I guess this environment where we are, and this the summit. Can you speak to how all that comes together?
Yeah, I think it's been amazing for us, and this is the third edition we have participated in. And the whole thought is, I think the way it says future investment initiative, I think you have geopolitics. There's so many things happening. It's very difficult to track it through news.
Right.
You have to sense it on ground. These kind of initiatives helps all the global leaders to come together, right? And you have real dialogues with them in a candid manner, one-on-one, what's happening.
Yeah.
And what do you see happening? Can you be their eyes and ears? Can you get them more about a particular country, an industry in real time? I think these conversations have lost its charm over a period of time, to be honest. It used to happen a lot in physical domains with virtual settings coming in. And you can be like, you're in that zone where you're digitally enabled by a lot of things. I think these initiatives just help you come together, have candid conversations, talk about the geography, economy. We spoke about India recently, what we believe of India. Very few people know what India is, to be honest, in my mind, especially in the global scenarios.
Yeah.
While I think there's a great leadership and we have done amazing work as India, right? There's a lot of investments which people are very excited about India. We've crossed 4 trillion. We're on the verge of going. So India itself, but till the time you do not come to India, you would not know what India is. So the second way to do or tell about India is to be in these forums and speak about what the country. And similarly for any other geography. So these kind of initiatives are amazingly done, and we have had a lot of business partnerships, which has worked well.
Fantastic. I know you're pressed for time. I have to talk about Africa. That's where Arise News is based. We broadcast across the continent. We're also in the UK. And I did notice that Africa is not part of your footprint, but I know you're expanding. Can you give me an honest assessment of because I know we've talked about mitigating risk, and we all know that the narratives of the African continent, but there have been a lot of reforms, particularly where I'm from in Nigeria and Ethiopia and South Africa and so on. What is your honest assessment of the venture capital space in Africa, and I guess what you think of it honestly? Yeah.
No, our strategy team has been at it for a year.
Okay.
You mentioned about UK. Again, there's a reason for being in UK. Gives you an access to understanding better about geographies. While I believe Africa is naturally one of the largest continents, you have to be there to feel it, right? Yeah. It's like India.
Yeah.
So I think the way we have been looking at Africa is to understand a bit more through these communications platforms, talk to a lot of global leaders who've been here, and I've had conversations around that.
Yeah.
So the point is this, you need to be Nigeria or South Africa to do tech ecosystem. You need to understand the inflation. You need to understand the interest rates. You need to understand the insolvency processes to do something meaningfully big there.
Right.
And there's so many countries within Africa, right? So I think we're reaching those nuances. And we do believe, as I told you, that if you have to be truly global fund, you have to be in emerging economies. Coming out of emerging economy, in case you don't understand Africa, then it will be difficult for other global fund managers to do it, because we know India itself is very complicated for global investors to understand. But for us, it's very easy in our mind, which we have to communicate, right? So that's about Africa. So we're talking about it, we're looking at it, and let's see where it goes.
Fantastic. I don't want to talk politics because we're supposed to focus on business. But I guess with what's been going on, I believe President Trump and Xi are meeting today to talk about trade. Narendra Modi is a close friend of President Trump. India and US have good relations, and I know there's a lot of talk about tariffs and everything. Since you're sector agnostic, surely, have any of the companies in your portfolio been impacted by all this tariff talk, and has any of that impacted the model, or
Not necessarily, because our model is very unique. Our model is that while we do fund global expansion of companies, I think today's companies are very particular about which countries to expand, and that's why maybe partners like us can be helpful, because we know we are going in those geographies and funding, so we can then tell them the land dynamics. I as of now, since we do more tech-oriented companies, I think the only one sector which we as India will be conscious about is the outsourcing of tech. And that's not pertaining to politics specifically. It's just in general what's happening in the tech ecosystem. AI, we have been outsourcing country in terms of tech. Besides that, not something which impacts tech in general.
Okay.
Because I do believe in private tech investments, it's all about the merits and the right investments you do, which is still happening. And US is a tech economy itself. right? So not in general, to be honest, and
Yeah.
I'm not that ladder to understand what's happening at
Gotcha.
Riyadh.
Final question, since you mentioned tech, Nvidia made news yesterday. They just crossed $5 trillion in market cap. And I mean, they only what, 2 trillion in 2023 or so. So it's been a rapid rise. The AI boom, is it hype? India, of course, very tech focused. I just wanted to get your thoughts. There were lots of panels on artificial intelligence here. Where do you see this going? Are there opportunities there for you? How do you see the whole artificial intelligence movement as it is right now?
I think the way it happened for internet, right? It is a similar platform we are getting as AI. I do understand that a lot of companies are getting funded, and it's been the buzzword for a while now. And FI has concentrated or not. I think it again depends country to country. I believe UAE and Saudi is really taking good opportunities, right? They're talking right. India is doing a lot of the inference models, because we do believe that there's a lot of good initiatives we can do on the large LLMs. So we're going deeper in order to understand, okay, what's happening in the fintech and the healthcare perspective. I think every country is taking its own stance. At the same time, if you've read that OpenAI has made India free for a year.
Yeah.
It's the first of its kind, right? So I do think the adoption on India can be amazing, right? Specifically as a country, and similarly for Africa, right? Because you have an access to great tools, and that tools can be really engaging. I think it has to be used as a base infrastructure, and not all the companies will be successful. Some of them will become very, very large companies, the way it happened during Amazon and Google time. And let's see where it goes from here. But honestly, I'm as clued in as you and trying to understand as much. But I do believe that every country is taking its own stance on this.
Mr. Ishpreet Singh Gandhi, the founder and managing partner at Stride Ventures. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for talking to Horizon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.